What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hana podcast. It's me, Willie Paul, sitting down with Pastor Elwin. How's it going?
Good. Another week, another week, another week.
Another
Gosh.
week, another week. Hey, you asked this question kind of as a joke at the beginning of service, but if you had one word to describe the past week, what word would you choose?
It varies from minute to minute. It's not day to day. Yeah.
Yeah,
I said it jokingly in the service. You can't say this because it's a church. Yeah, I can't say it because we're still on a church podcast.
maybe after we're done, then you can say the word that you're thinking of.
Man.
But yeah, it is kind of
Yeah.
been like minute to minute. Things are up and down.
Yeah. But one thing I'm noticing though is at some point, and people will differ on this, I believe, and this is where I think what we've been talking about, how do you walk by faith kind of deal. But at some point in your life, you got to say, who do I trust, and what do I trust, and whatever that is, that's going to set the direction for you. It's important to kind of process to get there, but who do you trust? Because I hear people go, I don't know who to trust, and that's the problem.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you build up that like knowledge of who to trust?
I don't know. So I think word of God, of course,
Mhm.
but then, how do you interpret that too, right? And I think everybody has to live with, and this applies to whatever season you're in. This is
Mhm.
not a COVID thing. Whatever season you're in, it comes down to what is it that you're going to settle in your heart, and this is it. This is right. To me, this is doing what is right.
Hmm.
Because I think internally, I think everybody knows. I think everybody has this, whatever you want to call it, tug in your heart or prompting in your heart that you can say we got to do this way, but inside you go, no, is it really like that? But when you come to the point in your heart where you go, no, no, this is right. This is not about what people are saying. He's not playing up to the crowd. He's not trying to satisfy my mom or dad. Based on the word of God, as much as I know about it, I've been praying and I've been searching. This is right. And then do
Hmm.
it. That's how I come to it.
I like that. You talked about well, just as a recap in case you missed this past weekend, panic at Mount Sinai. Moses goes up to get the Ten Commandments and all. Here's how to like build the nation, all of that. And he's up there in the mountain, in the fog in the mountain for 40 days. And then was it 40 days? Yes,
40
40 days
days.
because they had walked 47.
Yep.
I was getting those two mixed up.
Yeah.
Uh, and then while Moses is up there, nobody's sure how long he's going to be. And so they build like a golden calf, an idol, and they're like, oh, let's make sacrifices to this golden calf and worship it. Um, that's
Yeah.
crazy to me because, like, I mean, it's crazy, but then it's also not because it was such like a. You talked about this in the message how they had come out of all of these miracles. Like this was 40 something days, like not even a month, maybe a month plus of the Red Sea. Like walking through an ocean, and then immediately they just get bored because they're sitting and waiting, and because they're bored, because they're like, well, we don't know when this is gonna end. They turn and like make a golden calf and everything. And reading that, it's like, man, that's so like so unwise. How could they do that? But then I look at like my own life, and there are moments where I gotta cook dinner, and like because it's taking a little more like longer than I thought. I'm like, I should just go like order something when I'm already like cooking,
Yeah.
in
Or,
that like
or
small sound.
yeah, or I think, playing off of what the metaphor you're using is because the people knew, they knew God. Like I was trying to really emphasize that God wasn't somebody who was brand new to their life.
Mm-hmm.
The miracles he performed in 47 days now, not 47 years. That's a bunch of big time miracles that they experienced. And then in Exodus 19, where Moses comes down and the mountain shakes and they all heard the voice of God.
Mm-hmm.
And Moses says, okay, hold on, I'm going to go back up there. They knew where he was going. They knew what he was going to do. They weren't a part of what he was doing. They didn't know who he was, or what he was writing down, and the extent of all that. But they knew that he was with God. And yet they go, so where's this guy Moses? Come on, let's just do something. So going off of your example, it would be like, that Ashley is getting dinner ready, but she goes into the kitchen and you don't know what she's doing in there. You hear the pots and pans, but dinner isn't ready yet. And so you go, forget this, I can't wait. You pick up the phone and you order pizza, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How is that? Because it's not like she's watching her dramas and stuff on TV and not cooking dinner. She's in there, she's doing something. And yet you get so
Yeah.
impatient and you just want to do. So I think a lot could be said. We could have even taken a twist on this story on just trust. How much do you trust God? How much do you trust what
Mm.
God is doing? Because just speaking from leadership role, yeah, the role that we have to play in leadership, we have to make some decisions. We have to make some decisions. And it's not like, and I share this on the weekend with people who were there. It's not like I go into a little hat and pull a piece of paper out and go, okay, we're going to decide to do this, whatever, the policy on whatever. I consult with my counsel, doctors, nurses, pathologists, these guys who are experts in their field that are here in Hawaii. And I, with all that input, now I have to make a decision. And so for somebody to go, well, I don't trust that what you're doing. It's not like I'm, rolling the dice,
Yeah.
but it is like that. When I was a judge and people come in for sentencing, I have to render a sentence on a defendant. What people don't see is a stack of papers and reports and letters and psychological studies and clinical counseling reports on this person.
Mm.
Don't see all that stuff. But I got to read through all that and make the best decision I can for this one particular case. And sometimes people go, that's not a fair decision. That is terrible. Hey, you don't know what I'm reading, man. You got to trust that I'm trying to do the best, right? So with
Yeah.
Moses, same with Moses. Moses was taking care of business and the people couldn't wait. So they didn't
Do you think it
trust.
was kind of like I'm just kind of thinking of this now, but do you think it was a cultural carryover from their time in Egypt of, oh, this is what like we saw people do in Egypt, and like we know that like God is up there, but while we're down here, we're getting bored, so we're just going to participate in the culture that we know. Do you think that had anything to play into that?
Um, Now remember the population that exited their exodus.
Mm-hmm.
There are references to the rabble who were with them, so there weren't all the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
There's some guys that are trying to get out of Egypt, and they were tagging along, and I think some of that plays into it where they get upset with, they're not really of the fully on board with the faith that God was leading them. And so there's kind of little rumblings that go on, gossiping, and then it blows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's some of that. I think it's human nature that because Moses is telling them, yeah, we're going, there's a promised land for us. And the little kid's question, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Why aren't we there yet? And if you can imagine a little kid in your back seat as you're driving cross country, Dad, why don't you just take this right or turn this way or go over that? Wouldn't that be faster? And it's just our human nature from the very beginning. The very beginning.
Well, I'm thinking, which uh, I'm thinking like if that was kind of like a human nature fall back on what you know, because I feel like when we are in a space where we're waiting, where we're waiting for like God to give us an opportunity that we're waiting for, or something or other. I feel like we can look at like what everybody else is doing. Like, oh, this person on social media is doing this, or
Yeah.
I heard a news article about someone doing this. So like I should go and do that instead of like waiting for, and in this metaphor, I'm still like kind of staying here, but instead of waiting for like Moses to come down from the mountain and like, okay, I know that God is up there and like I just need to wait a little longer. Do you think that we have a tendency to like get mixed up in, I mean, as you said, what was it, the rabble was among them?
Yeah, rabble rousers.
Rabble rousers. That's such a
That's what
fun word to
cause
say.
trouble. Yeah, troublemakers. Yeah.
Um, do you think that we have a tendency to kind of fall back on the wider culture, the what the rabble rousers are telling us to do?
If and I'm no psychologist on this, but without knowing the end line, without knowing where that goal line or touchdown is, um, it is hard to wait. And so we have the benefit of the Bible. We say, oh, Moses spent 40 days. But when the people were waiting, they didn't have a clock or calendar. It says,
Mm,
okay, he said only 40 days. I don't think he ever said, I'm going to be there only 40 days. They had no idea. And so you can kind of understand, right? Their impatience. And so when is he coming back? What happened to him? Because they had no idea when that was going to happen.
hmm
And I think those who will instigate issues, sometimes they'll say, well, weren't you promised this? Where is it? How come we're not getting anywhere?
mm.
How long are we going to wait here? And people in our natural tendency will say, yeah, you're right. When are we leaving this place? Man, we've been here for a while. You mean we came all the way here for this? And so.
So, what do you do to kind of uh, stay firm in the waiting, to stay faithful in the waiting when you have people who are saying, "Oh, why don't you do this? Why are you still doing this?" Kind of like in your ear.
Yeah, if I was to second guess Moses, I think he needed to build a stronger team around him. So it's not just him. I mean, Aaron, goodness, what a whip, right? I mean, go read the whole story. Read the whole story, because when Moses finally comes back down, he goes, "What'd you do, Aaron?" And Aaron goes, "I don't know. They just gave me the stuff. I threw it in the fire, and out came this calf," right? He says that. And that's not what really happened. The section that we read in church was he took a tool and he fashioned the golden calf. He made it. But I think this is where not just a leader in Moses, we need leaders within our midst that will have the same heart and same understanding and attitude. And that's why, like I said this on our recording, I reminded our staff today as well that I am so thankful for our staff, because I cannot carry this load by myself. Brandon cannot. But with the staff, and if we're all of one heart, one mind, we may not agree on everything, but if we're on the same wavelength of our heart and passion for Jesus Christ, then I think we can help to manage the crowd as we're moving ahead. Because I don't think Moses had that.
Mm. You know, thanks for the shout out. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
As part of the staff of Metro.
seriously.
But for everyone, one thing that you can do is to join a connect group, like to have that group of people who, as you said, are of one mind or of one heart, who are saying, okay, this is the direction that we're heading. We're following after God together. There's this old saying that's, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I'm probably butchering that. But having a connect group and having like a group of people who are like for you and are gonna not only encourage you but also call you out when you start doing something that's not like following after God is like one of the biggest things that you can do, especially when you're in seasons of waiting. You can have those people to encourage you, to help you to stop listening to the rabble rousers. I can't stop saying rabble rousers. To not listen to what everybody else is telling you, but to just wait and be faithful and wait on God. So how you can do that, head over to our website, metrochristianchurch.com. There's a connect group finder, or you can email Cameron@metrochristianchurch.com. But
Yeah,
that's
and
a great way.
you want to look for and begin to invest in relationships it's gonna take you on a journey together. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you can have study groups, which are important. So you take a book and you study it, or you take a curriculum and you study it. Those are very important. But just as important are relationships that you have that will be with you on the journey. And we studied a little bit of that in our leadership track today. How do you engage in the journey together? Because there's going to be a lot of times where outside of a study group that you'll encounter something and you need some brothers or sisters to come around you. So yeah.
Yeah, one of the best thing about connect groups is that it's not like a time to show off how much scripture you've memorized and like be the perfect Sunday school Christian. But it's just a group of people that are getting together, and like that the group of people that you can call and just be like, hey, everything is terrible right now. Can I just vent to you? Or like, can we just hang out and not talk about this? I just
Yeah.
need like some to blow off some steam, or like to just clear my head or something. And those are the people that are gonna be there in those moments and like stand with you through that.
Yeah. 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 And a lot of times that's through not just a study group, but even serving together. Some of my best memories and buddies, even to this day, were the ones that we used to set up tents and mop bathroom floors and scrub toilets and those kind of things. We still have great memories and friendships today.
That's awesome. You were saying you used to wake up at 12 to set up at 1 a.m.
So when I first got involved with the Levites crew that would set up the church and take it down after it was done, we were at the Stan Sheriff Arena. Well, we'd flip flop between Stan Sheriff and Farrington High School.
Mm-hmm.
And the Stan Sheriff would have their athletic events, and then their so-called cleaning crew, which didn't clean much because they knew we were coming in after. We couldn't get into the arena till 1 a.m. because the church service would start at 7 a.m. So we had 6 hours to transform a basketball arena into a stage and pipe and drape and everything else, and haul all of our equipment. So to accomplish that, we would leave the office in Mapuna at 1 a.m. Our trucks would be ready to roll at 1 a.m., which meant I had to get up at 12:30 to drive to Mapuna, help to load up some of the trucks, and then drive. It was kind of cool, because the freeways are open. Yeah. So we have a convoy of trucks. Yeah, just a convoy
That is
of
pretty
trucks.
cool.
Yeah, going to the Stan Sheriff. And then we back up and set everything up. And so by 5:30, everything had to be set because they would have to do sound check and they would rehearse and all that. And so in the meantime, we were sweeping up everything. And then Joy would join me at 7 a.m. for our service. And we'd be sitting in the chair. And I learned how to do the pastor nod. So you're sitting there and you doze off. But instead of, you don't want to show anybody you're sleeping. So you doze off and you nod like that.
Ah, yes, of course.
Good point. Yeah. Nod again. Yeah, those are the days, man. But it taught me loyalty, commitment, and all that, because I felt that if I stayed sleeping, overslept, it would let down a brother. Somebody would have to carry my load, and I couldn't let that happen. So, dating Joy, I dropped her at home at 9 at night, I'd go home and sleep till 12:30, wake up, drive to the stand sheriff.
Ooh,
Yeah, it
ooh.
was good. It was very humbling.
Hey, if you're interested in serving at Metro, you don't have to wake up at 1 a.m. But you can talk to us on a Sunday or send an email over to info@metrochristianchurch.com. We'd love to have you join one of our teams.
Yeah.
All right, Pastor Owen, golden calf, trust. A lot of the things that in modern day lives that we would consider maybe golden calves are a lot less obvious. They're way more subtle than a golden statue. How do you differentiate between like something that is cool, something that you're a fan of, versus something that becomes like a golden staff? You start to golden calf.
Yeah.
You start to put more trust in this person or this thing more than God.
Yeah. So I would say whatever it is that's drawing you away from what God may have set for your life, and so in the message I talked about this this liminal space, so that time in the middle of progressing from one to the other, there's this liminal space. And I think God wants us to use that time to develop our trust and our worship and our faith in him. But these golden calves will distract us from that, will turn us away from that. So impatience is one, we want to rush through it. And the other one was a sense of just disruption and discomfort. And then we look for validation of who we are, because we want to feel comfortable again. We want to feel, that we're settled again. And so, we look for people to validate what we're saying. And so these golden calves aren't object. It could be, it could be an smartphone. It could be the television set. It could be money. Could be all those things. But I was trying to take another approach that is more intangible, but yet is there. And that's the more dangerous kind. Like I said, the more dangerous one is where you cannot really separate between, is it for God or is it for me? That's the dangerous golden calf that I think we set up. So we try to pursue and we manipulate anything to get to where we're going to be. But is it because we want to get there, or is it because God had that for us? And that's a hard one. That's a hard one.
Yeah, I can see like, people posting on like social media and like being really sucked into like arguments and comment sections and like, oh, why are you doing that? It's like, well, I'm trying to convince them that like I'm actually doing this for God kind of thing,
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, is it like, maybe I'm not gonna say it is or it isn't, but like seems weird. How do you differentiate that, Pastor Owen? How do you like, if you had any like, I know this is kind of putting you on the spot, but if you had like a tool belt to make like a diagnosis of, is what I'm doing for me or for God? Is this good or is this for God kind of thing?
That's where you need some. I really appreciate brothers that I surround myself with. I say this sometimes jokingly, but I really mean it. God blessed me with a wonderful wife who is super wise. She seems quiet, and she is. She is introverted, but the wisdom that she gives me has really helped me to make those discerning calls, one from the other, and even to be such a straight shooter that sometimes I start going down this path, and I am trained to justify anything that I want to say that's going to win my case, And so I start saying this, and then she'll just say something like, "Knock it off." I go, "Wait, but I am." She goes, "No, just enough already. Knock it off." Okay, you're right. So I have someone like that in my life. I have brothers who are very straight shooters. I have a good relationship with my son where he helps me to understand maybe generationally how we're different. And he'll say, "Dad, maybe we could say it this way. Or maybe we're not seeing this side of it." So it's good to have a balance of all that. Some people call it a constellation model of mentoring. So it's not, mentoring isn't just top down, where the mentor mentors everyone below him. Constellation model is you get mentored from people above you. You get people mentoring you as your peers. And you also have people who are younger than you or less experienced than you that can mentor you. And so it's a really round 360 view of everything. That helps you to come up with, okay, so this is right, that I think what we need to do.
So it kind of seems like it's weird because like the idea is to be steadfast and like firm in faith, but it's almost as if in order to be steadfast in faith, you have to be flexible and like adjustable.
You need community.
Yeah, and like
You need community.
it can't be like this is what it is and no one can tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, this is where it is, and then you kind of like have people help to push the dirt off of it and like refine it and sand over here and chisel over there
Or
in
even
order
to grab you and shake you.
yeah,
To
to
shake
ball the
off
whole thing up and throw it in the trash and
all
start
that
over.
dirt that's on you, to shake you. The book we read today, this week, there's a line in there that says, you know, everybody needs community. Isolation produced the Unabomber.
Mm.
He thought he was doing everything the right way. I mean, that was his world, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was all alone. There was nobody to tell him, nobody to hold him accountable, and it costs people's lives, you know.
Yeah, and so community is so huge. I feel like it's an often underrepresented part of following Jesus because I mean, especially in the culture that we're in, because it's so like individualistic, it's so uh, spread out, and everyone's on their own.
Yeah.
Um,
Because you go back to the story we use there with Aaron. So people go, so Aaron, where is this guy? You know, build us a golden calf. Where were the leaders around Aaron to say, no, I don't think we need to do that. Hey, you know, I think we need to, okay, just hold on a second, right? Let's think this through, right? Where were they? At the same time, though, I give you this little interesting twist. When Judas betrayed Jesus, where were the other disciples? Why didn't they go to him and say, brah, really? I mean, this guy chose you. We're just the 12 here to follow him. We're supposed to be his disciples. And you're doing this, you know. So if we don't speak up and hold each other accountable, man, there's a cost, there's a price that somebody's going to pay.
Man, that's so good. It's so hard though. Like I'm so terrified of confrontation. Like I hate it. How do you like? How do you give that permission to someone to, hey, if I need it, like grab me by the shoulders, shake me, call me out, and then how do you know when is time to grab someone by the shoulders versus like, it's not so bad right now, or let them make the mistake they learn.
Relationship.
Hmm.
Relationship. So it's not a professional relationship where it's only between 8 to 5 that it's the journey, the life journey together. And I think the example that Jesus gave was he walked with them along hillsides. He went fishing with them. He even, cooked food with them. So it's relationships that should allow that to happen. Yeah.
And so it's just time, like life on life. Go fishing, go hiking, cook dinner together.
Yep.
Stay safe. Don't be in huge groups or nothing.
Yeah. But even with that, using that example, hey, let's get together. We're going to have like 50 people come together. We need to feel close enough with one another to say, hey, maybe not, I still love you. I still want to do this with you. But right now, can we just and we don't take offense at that because we're doing it because we respect each other, we love each other, etc. But through relationship.
Through relationship. That's so good. I feel like that's something that I need to work on.
Yeah, me too.
I have very introvert tendencies of like, I'm just going to cruise by myself kind of thing,
Yeah. Well, you don't have to have like 10 people. I mean, I would say, if you have at least 3 people in your life that are like that, that you're doing life with, and they know it and you know it, I think that's good.
Like 3 people that are like on purpose, intentional.
Mhm.
We're doing this so that.
Yeah. And if he says this, got it. I was talking to this guy. There was something that came up, and I don't have to go into the specifics of it. And he asked me, so what you going to do? I said, well, I was going to do this. And for me, it's real cut and dry. I'm just going to say this and tell him all about this. And he goes, maybe there's a more diplomatic way we can approach this. I go, okay, you're right. You're right. But guys like that, where he doesn't have to slap me and go, you stupid, you doro. But the way that he said it to me was very respectful, and I totally honored it. And he's absolutely right.
Well, that's super good. It's crazy how often like all of the stories and all of like so much of the Bible boils down to things like be in community where everyone is following after God and like just trust God.
Mm-hmm. Simple, yeah.
It's almost as if Jesus said that in the greatest commandments.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, Pastor Owen, you want to go fishing?
Wow. Yeah. I won't catch anything, but
oh, don't worry, me neither.
Yeah. Alam wanna get plenty tilapias in there.
Let's go. Oh, the choice fish on
And
the
whatever you
all the
catch,
menus.
yeah, whatever you catch, just give it to the birds. I see this guy fishing all the time.
Bro.
Yeah, in that little canal, you got those, what do you call them? Blue herons or whatever, those big birds.
Oh, he feeds it to the birds?
Yes.
That's actually pretty cool. I want to do that.
Know what he does. So whenever he's there and he catches the fish, throws it on the ground, the bird comes and man, it's big fish. And you know how narrow that bird's bill is. They pick it up and somehow they turn it till the head is now facing and they swallow the whole fish. It's amazing, but yeah. It's kind of neat.
All right, I'm gonna go grab my bowl now. That sounds really fun. Hey, Pastor Owen, thanks for making time. Thanks for sitting down. Thanks for opening up, sharing a little bit. If you have any questions about anything that we talked about, you can head over to our website, register for an upcoming service. We'll see you next week on the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks, Willie.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Pete.
See you.
Dudes.